We've reached Thursday of that Holy Week, they call it. And Jesus had spent his last night in Bethany with Lazarus and the others, and they weren't to know what a significant day this would be. Had they known, there would have been tears and sorrow. This was the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, when the Passover lamb was sacrificed, a time to remember how God led Israel out of Egypt. The blood on the doorpost diverted the angel of death from their doors, a picture of Christ's blood, our sacrificial lamb, delivering us. Two disciples asked, "Where do you want us to go and prepare the meal?" Mark chapter 14. And they were told to follow a man carrying water, an unusual sight. It was the women that carried the water. "Go to this house and say to the owner, 'Where is the guest room for the Passover meal with my disciples?' This is another mystery. Who was this man? How come the others didn't know him? When did Jesus arrange this, or was it all supernatural?" I think this was the house of young John Mark, who wrote the Gospel. In the evening, Jesus and the 12 sat down for the Passover meal, when he tells them that there's a traitor in their midst. They must have been shattered, each man looking to the next, wondering. Jesus then instituted what we call the Lord's Supper. "This is my body broken for you, my blood poured out for you. Remember that." Jesus then took a towel and water and washed their feet. You can find that in John chapter 13. You know, we should wash one another's feet, perhaps not literally, but metaphorically. He took a towel and he washed their feet. It keeps us in perspective. We're to serve one another, not becoming lords over each other. We have one master, Jesus. In response to Peter claiming his own invincibility, Jesus told him that Satan had wanted to sift Peter like wheat. But Jesus, instead of saying, "Don't worry, I won't let him do it," instead says, "I prayed for you that your faith is strong. When you come through it, help your brothers." We're now well into Thursday evening. Jesus leads them out of Jerusalem to the Mount of Olives. Crossing the Kidron Valley, they arrive at a garden, Gethsemane, the place of the oil press. It's here that the Battle of Calvary is won. Jesus asked Peter, James and John to come with him to pray and to watch. Mark chapter 14 verses 32 to 36 record what Jesus prayed. Now some people believe that the devil was trying to kill him, stop whatever he was doing. He then prayed the prayer that reversed what had happened to the first Adam who failed. "Take this cup from me, but not as I will, but as you will." The book of Romans tells us that his obedience saved us all. Hallelujah. And the disciples, they slept. Then the renter mob arrived, armed with weapons, and they approached and suddenly realized that they didn't know which one he was. This is an irony. He was so unspectacular, so one of us, that it took a kiss by Judas to identify him. There was confrontation, but Jesus put a stop to that, and they led him away to the high priest and other leaders waiting nearby. I've seen that walk. I've been in Jerusalem in what we believe was the Garden of Gethsemane, and you can see the pathway that leads down and then up the other side of the valley to the high priest's house. It's quite a moving experience to do it. You know, Mark's gospel includes something that no other gospel does. It's in chapter 14 and verse 51. It says that watching all this took place was a young boy, naked but for a bedsheet wrapped around him. And when a soldier tried to grab him, all he got was the sheet. The boy ran off naked. Now I think this was Mark, who as a young man had probably listened to Jesus at his house, then grabbing a sheet followed them to Gethsemane when they left. We've reached the middle of Thursday night. The leaders said they didn't want this to happen during the feast, but God had other ideas. They're forced to try and end this before the Sabbath on the Friday evening, or else they will be regarded as unclean. God forbid. Tomorrow at our service, I'll continue with the reading.